Okay, in this video, we're going to solve this problem right here, and so let's begin. Now, if we didn't deal with an absolute value, this problem would be very easy to solve. But because we need to think about this problem. So what I'm going to first do is actually factor this out. And so we'll keep our integral. Factoring isn't going to be hard, so we'll keep it bounded. Absolute value, parentheses, 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 close the absolute value. To get x squared, only one way, x times x. Two numbers, they multiply to give us -6, but add to give us 1. That's going to be a +3 and a -2. So x times x, x squared, x times 3, 3x. -2 times x, -2x. 3x minus 2x is 1x. And -2 times 3 is -6. Now, we're dealing with an absolute value. Let's pretend we have absolute value of x. So the absolute value of x, it behaves in two different ways. It behaves like ordinary x whenever x is greater than or equal to 0. Let's think about this. If x is 1, absolute value of 1 is also 1, so they're the same. But it behaves like negative x whenever x is less than 0. So if x is -1, negative 1 is positive 1. Absolute value of -1 is also 1. So the 0 mark is very critical. So we need to think, how does this behave? So I'm going to draw a number line. And I know at -3 and 2, it's 0. Because let's try it. If I go ahead and I put a 2 here, 2 squared is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 minus 6 is 0. Likewise, 2 minus 2 is 0, 0 times a billion is still 0. So I need to think, how does it behave less than -3? How about from -3 and 2? How about greater than 2? And it's not that bad. If I plug in a -4 minus 2 is -6. I plug in a -4 here, -4 plus 3 is -1. -6 times -1 is a positive. So put a plus sign. Likewise, let's pick 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. -2 times 3 is -6, so it behaves negative here. And we can try 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 times 7 is a positive number. With that, we're going to split up the integral. So, -5 to 5. Now, -5 to -3, it behaves positive. So I'm going to say -5 to -3. And it behaves positive, so I'm just going to keep what we have. We could keep it in this form, or we could keep it in this form. It honestly doesn't matter. I guess I'm going to keep it in the original form. So parentheses, x squared plus x minus 6, close it, dx, plus the integral from -3 to 5. But in our case, that won't work. We have to go from -3 to 2, because from -3 to 2, it behaves like negative. So I'm going to put a 2 here. Then I'm going to copy my equation, but I'm going to put a negative sign. So negative parentheses, x squared plus x minus 6, close it, dx. Now I'm going to put another plus sign, the integral. This time from 2 to 5. And that will work because from 2 all the way to infinity, it's going to behave like positive. So 2 to 5. So I'm going to copy this version. So parentheses, x squared plus x minus 6, close it, dx. Now I'm going to need more space, so I'm going to copy it to the next slide. Now we still have an integral, so let's do it. It's going to be x raised to 3 divided by 3. So I take 2, add 1, get 3, divide by 3. Plus x squared divided by 2 minus 6x. And it's bounded from -5 to -3. Plus this one now too. So here we got to distribute the negative to all three pieces. But it's still very much going to be the same. -x cubed divided by 3 minus x squared divided by 2 plus 6x. Again, bounded from -3 to 2. The last one plus x cubed divided by 3 plus x squared divided by 2 minus 6x from 2 to 5. Now, this is one part, second part, and the third part. Now, the next part is just going to be very tedious, and part of it we're going to do on the calculator, but at least the initial setup, we'll do it by hand. So I take my -3, put it in here, -3 cubed, that's going to give us -27 divided by 3, plus I put -3, -3 times -3 is +9 divided by 2, put it here, -6 times -3 is +18. Close our parentheses, do minus, parentheses, plug in -5. -5 cubed is going to give us -125 divided by 3. Do the other piece, we're going to get positive 25 divided by 2, and negative 6 times negative 5 is going to give us a positive 30. close it. Now we'll do the other piece. So plus, plug in a 2 here, negative 2 cubed is going to give us negative 8, so negative 8 divided by 3. Do this piece, we'll get negative 4 divided by 2, then we'll get 12. Close it. Then we'll put our minus sign, parentheses, same idea. We're going to get 27 divided by 3. Plug in negative 3 here. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, but we have a negative. So negative 9 divided by 2. And negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. So negative 18, close it. And now we'll do the last piece. So plus, we plug in a 5. We're going to get 125 divided by 3 plus 5 squared, so 25 divided by 2. Negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. Close it, minus, parentheses, same idea. 2 cubed is 8 divided by 3, plus 2 squared is 4 divided by 2. And negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Close it. So at this point, I'm just going to use a calculator. Obviously, if you're going to solve this by hand, you need a common denominator, but that's going to be very, very tedious. So let's just use a calculator. I straight up copy. This part right here is a straight copy of this, and we get 65. And I also went ahead and used the calculator to solve the problem, and if you do that, you'll also get 65. And that's pretty much it for this video.